Hello, my name is Edward Chavez, and I'm doing my video submission on the search engine. So, the first question asks us to summarize this short story. So, the search engine is a story about a woman by the name of Corliss, a native Spokane Indian who seeks to find out how she fits in with the world around her. In it, she is the first in her family to go to college, and because of this, she is faced with feeling like an outsider. She knows her values and sees herself as a woman who is more than the average native in her tribe, but tries not to stand out too much due to her cautiousness of the white people around her. In the story, she stumbles upon a poetic book titled In the Reservations of My Mind by Harlan Atwater, and because she's faced with so much, in a sense, being an outsider, standing out, reading through these poems, she was both able to relate and to not relate as to what this man spoke. To her, it was more of a self discovery in hopes of him having the answers to how she could fit in with the world. And so she becomes so interested that she then decides to seek out this author in hopes of finding answers. Now, I feel like because of this, it's a great title for the search engine. But continuing on, Corliss does use her parents as a resource of finding out if they ever heard of this native, which in the end they didn't. And so then she uses the internet to kind of find out whatever information she could and came up shorthanded, although she did stumble upon an article of an interview. In the interview, it discussed of this native and all of his personal experiences, which made her fall more and more into her, I guess you could say, obsession of wanting to discover this man. And so she was able to find a phone number. She uses the phone number to contact the man for the first time, and he does answer, but only falls short to him cutting her off and hanging up due to his amazement with her being a college student and able to get away. So he, in a sense, blows her off, and she was left with more questions. Now, because this woman was so determined, Corliss then decides to take a bus to Seattle, where she feels she would be able to meet the man in person and ask him the questions that she needs to ask him in person. Upon her discovery and her adventure, she does come across a homeless man where she sees a homeless man and she feels like she's Odysseus from the Odyssey. And so in it, she sees this homeless man and she wants to, in a sense, give him a sense of care and compassion. So she helps this homeless man, and from that, she was able to learn a lesson of respect and how you can have it all and it could all mean nothing, but what matters most to people is just to be respected for who they are and how they are. And so I thought that was a great sense of symbolism. So after she comes into contact with this homeless man, she finds more directions towards finding the address of the house where Harlan Atwater lives, where she eventually gets there and knocks on the door, meets the man in person, and due to his astonishment of how determined she was, he then becomes willing to allow her to ask her questions and him give his answers. So she does ask her questions that made her interested, and she was displeased by how the man was. Yet, in it, she was able to learn a lot. He told his story of his life and how he was a poet and why he used poetry. And through that discovery, she realized that he was a man who was a Spokane native. However, he was adopted, and how most of what he was speaking on was lies, or in a sense, wishes of what he wished he had. So, under his alias Harlan Atwater, this author, speaks about things that he wished he experienced, things that he wished he would have done, and Corliss sees this as a way of escaping reality and living in an alternate life. And in the end, the man tells her how miserable it made him and how displeased he was and ordinary he felt, where he wanted to be extraordinary. So the end of the story ends with him telling his story and him telling her how his blessing in disguise was how he was able to be adopted by two white parents who loved him dearly and was able to support him through everything. And from that, it left her with the understanding of having to search life itself in hopes of discovering her blessings. So that's the summarization of the search engine. Now, question 2, it tells us to compare and contrast the two main characters. The first comparison is that they're both natives from the same tribe. So there's that. Another is their idealism of being lost souls, two lost souls in a world where they're trying to discover their path, discover their way of fitting in with the world. Another another comparison would be that there are two people who feel like outsiders, trying to fit in. So you can see them struggling with their identity as being natives or being more of the majority of the world, I guess you could say. And so those are some comparisons. Now contrast is that Corliss is a woman and that she is a young college student seeking to better her education and to kind of break the cycle. Whereas Harlan, he is a 60 to 70-year-old man who, in a sense, gained fame through lying and realized that he just wanted to be his authentic self. So those are some compare and contrasts. What does it mean to be a lost soul? Explain how the two main characters are lost souls and which character do I believe was the most lost. To be a lost soul means to, in a sense, not understand who you really are and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. To be lost is to truly not know where it is you're going, not what it is you're trying to accomplish. Simply not knowing who you are because you try to fit in one area but you know you don't, and you're trying to just discover who you are. So I feel like that's what it means to be a lost soul. How the two main characters are lost souls, they're both lost souls because they're both seeking ways to fit in with the environment around them. One of them felt the need to be a part of a tribe, so he literally tried his best to, in a sense, pretend to be a part of the tribe, only to feel more of an outsider. Whereas for Corliss, she's a lost soul by being somebody from the reservation and wanting to be more, yet she doesn't know how to fit in because she doesn't know much of what it is she's trying to accomplish or what it is she's really trying to do. So it's kind of like, in a sense, creating their own beliefs, their own values, their own traditions, and not knowing exactly where they would be accepted, how they would be accepted. Now, one thing that I do feel is that in the end, Harlan Atwater was the most lost, simply because he tells of the story of how he lived this imaginary lifestyle and how he believed it so much to a point where he thought it to be true, yet in the end he felt so much guilt and shame and, in a sense, more lost due to the fact that what he was searching for was merely never going to be found. Being a part of a tribe, being a true native from the reservation. So Harlan then came to accept that he was blessed with his situation of having two white parents who adopted him. Whereas Corliss, she accepts that she's from the reservation, she sees her family lifestyle, and she realizes her capabilities. Her main purpose of being lost is that she's just trying to find a way to fit in, whereas Harlan, he was truly lost in trying to live an alternate lifestyle and realizing that it just wasn't meant for him. The fourth question asks, which character do we think was changed most by the encounter at the end? Very good question. I would have to say Harlan. I feel like with him being able to relieve himself of all this stress, all of this I guess you could say, pain that he held inside. Although it was Corliss's journey to seek him out and discover his discover his path and see what he had to say and his words of wisdom. I think in the end he was the most changed from it, because in a sense I got from it that he was accepting of everything. He accepted his life, he accepted, and he was happy for it. Corliss was definitely changed as well, and she was definitely impacted it. But in it, it still ended off with a cliffhanger, as if though she still wasn't satisfied with the answers and she was still a lost soul. Why do you think this chapter is titled The Search Engine? I think the story itself is a perfect description of why it's titled The Search Engine. You have a lost soul searching for answers, searching for acceptance and understanding and words of wisdom on how to live a life, where the author, the person who's supposed to be giving the wisdom, Harlan Atwater, he was a lost soul who was searching for acceptance, for identity, and understanding of being a native adopted from a white family. So it all speaks searching for the South, searching for answers, searching for wisdom. And so I feel personally the reason why it's titled The Search Engine is due to the fact that these were two lost souls in hopes of searching for answers to fit in with the world around them. So number 6 asks to compare the struggles of Corliss with an experience of your own life when you yearned for something and then was disappointed when you finally reached your goal. I guess you could say for me personally it would be moving out. I yearned to move out and have that sense of independence and freedom, and now that I do have it, I realize that there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with it and a lot of growing up, or as we say, adulting. So it was definitely a great goal to reach. However, I am a little disappointed because now I'm faced with the reality of having to seek answers for myself and having to grow more as an individual and tackle on this journey called life and all of its chaotic and scary scary situations that it has to present itself. But that's definitely one way where I can struggle and compare to this story. So those are my answers for this assignment, and in the end it was overall a really great story to read, and it was hard at first to read, but in the end it was definitely worth it.